This video presentation has been classified by the ABC as M. It contains material that is not recommended for persons under 15 years.
As well as watching this vodcast, you can watch Good Game on ABC2 every Tuesday night at 8:30 and ABC TV late on Friday nights after JTV.
Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers, by gamers. I'm Jungless.
And I'm Barjo. Games, and games on the menu today, Jung.
That's right, we're used to books being turned into movies, but now game developers are turning pages to pixels as well.
Conan is a multi-platformer based on the Robert E. Howard novels, and The Witcher is based on Polish books. They're huge hits in Eastern Europe, but do they excite us Aussies?
And we meet Slash from Guns N' Roses. He hits the sweet notes on the guitar, but how does he fare as a boss battle in the forthcoming Guitar Hero 3?
And we have a chat to Australia's older gaming community to find out why they keep playing year after year.
All that plus Fury, proudly Aussie-made, with promises to bring something new to the MMO genre. And if we have time, we'll take a look at Zelda on the DS.
But first, can you guess the game for this week?
Make it quick.
Well, Chris Priestley was in town recently. He's working on Mass Effect, due out later in the year. But can you guess the name of the game that Chris first worked on?
Finally, you're up. I was afraid you were going to sleep all day. I guess the instructors work you pretty hard here at the Academy.
And here's a clue, Chris has only worked for one game development company in his career. But first, Gamers News!
British intelligence services will start searching for new spies by embedding adverts for new recruits in some video games. Online players of games like Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell will see billboards in-game carrying the ads. Traditionally, spies have been recruited from old boy networks. Most of the new spies will work as software experts in the agency's main listening post and will be nowhere near any Sam Fisher-like adventures. Australian e-athletes have secured a position in the Championship Gaming Series. The CGS is a league in the US where every match is televised and every player receives a salary. Finals were held recently in the Pan-Asian division between Singapore Sword and Sydney Underground. Singapore took first place with wins in Counter-Strike Source, Dead or Alive, and FIFA. However, the Aussie team still qualify for the league. Special mention must be made of our Project Gotham racing team, Morpo and Cam, who remain undefeated. And in other competitive news, the World Game Master Tournament was held in Sydney last week. Perth-based Team Advantage took first place in Counter-Strike Source after beating Excelsior on D-Train. Zelor won Quake 4 after an exciting best-of-3 match with eScent. Winners went home with thousands of dollars worth in cash and hardware, but despite its name, the tournament will have no further international finals. Nintendo's Wii Sports has won a total of 6 awards at the BAFTAs, including Best Gameplay, Casual Game, Innovation, and Multiplayer. Okami took out 2 awards, Best Artistic Achievement and Best Score. Crackdown took the honors in the Action-Adventure category, and God of War 2 won for Best Technical Achievement. The coveted Best Game Award went to BioShock.
Good game!
Conan!
What is best in life?
To own noobs, see them rage quit, and hear the lamentations of their clanmates.
All your barbarous desires are fulfilled in the latest action platformer Conan, based on the books by Robert E. Howard. With pots of wine for health, lots of scantily clad ladies on every level,
Don't leave me here to die!
and unbelievably large blades, what's not to like?
It follows the standard action formula to the letter, and it mimics God of War very closely, even down to little things like opening chests. There's over 100 combos for you to unlock, most of them too gory for us to show, which is sure to be a hit among the action fans. With all that, there's no reason why the camel-punching superstar shouldn't be dominating sales charts, except for one thing. It's a bit meh.
What really holds this game back is that it rewards you for playing in a boring way. You can get into combos, but it's usually more trouble than it's worth. You're much better off grabbing a two-handed weapon and going unleash the power of the triangle button.
Yeah, they should call it Triangle the Sumerian. They've also included a bar that fills up as you chain attacks, and it makes you more powerful if you can fill it up. But most fights are over before you even see this feature.
One good thing that they have borrowed from other games, Jung, is that when you sidestep or parry, it goes into a gruesome animation kill.
Harder enemies require you to cancel your attacks in order to fake them out, which was good to see in an otherwise shallow combat system. Mostly, though, enemies have basic static attack patterns, which means once you've memorized how many times to block or evade before mashing again, the rest of the level is just repetition.
Die, you cur!
You know, groundwork was laid for some interesting puzzles, and it looks like they kind of thought them out. But they've all been nerfed. It's like some suit came along and said, "This is too complicated, please dumb it down."
It's either that or they get paid every time you press the circle button. Graphics were stylized in a B-grade sort of way. They went for a whole kind of painted theme, and that was interesting. It allows for a lot more blood. But when it's in non-HD mode, it looks like something out of the PS2 bargain bin.
I do not die so easily.
This time I will finish the job.
Lackluster voice acting and long loading times really brought this game down. And for a game that uses the name Conan and the Havoc engine, you'd think you'd want a little bit better than that. So I'm giving it 6 out of 10 barbaric chickens.
With such a great world to draw inspiration from and a proven action formula, it's kind of hard to go wrong. But they sure did. There's much better options in the action genre, and 6 hours of playtime is just dismal. I'm giving it 5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Ouch. And now to The Witcher, a single-player role-playing game set in medieval times in a dark fantasy land where witches are humans chosen to fight supernatural beings. Selected at birth to go through rigorous trials and alchemy procedures, they are left disfigured and sterile, but also fast and resilient. A great war has ended, and now the witches are few in number, and they are feared by the public that they're sworn to protect.
Practically, The Witcher's main strength is its deep storyline. Geralt, also known as the White Wolf, is a martially respectable character, even if he is the product of the age-old formula, protagonist plus amnesia equals good story. Add in a saucy redhead with the biggest cleavage I've ever seen, and you've got yourself a game, partner.
I couldn't help myself thinking, isn't she cold?
It's based on the Andrzej Sapkowski books, which are famous in Poland for emphasizing the moral gray area in each character. The Witcher translates this by forcing you to choose between the lesser of two evils. Your decisions carry delayed consequences, which affect your storyline 10 to 15 hours down the track.
Unlike most role-playing games, you don't have to mash the mouse button to attack. You can combo them if you time it right. However, this rhythm remains the same throughout the game, so really it's just a glorified button mashing.
The real difference in the combat system is how it forces you to change between 3 stances. The fast stance is used for more agile enemies, heavy stance for armored ones, and group stance for multiple small enemies. It's unexplained how some heavy enemies can block your quick attacks, and we would have preferred a little more difference in the animations between the stances.
Adding a pause button is an interesting choice. Developers don't take it lightly because it can distract from immersion.
We felt it was unnecessary since the hotkeys are there if you need to switch stances quickly, but hey, if you don't like it, don't use it.
Now, Jung, I've got to mention the opening sequence. It goes crazy-face for about 10 minutes, and it's fantastic. However, once you get into the game, especially in the cutscenes, the frame rate drops right off. They experimented with some high-detail textures, and also the engine is capable of weather effects, but it's not this. I think they just haven't optimized the graphics properly.
And no one likes a dodgy frame rate. I think that's also the reason the interface is pretty unresponsive, from little things like pressing M to bring up your map, to more important things like mouse lag.
I think a game needs more than a great story to succeed, even though it's well implemented here. There are some cool boss fights, but the combat system isn't really that revolutionary. Your only reward in the game is to push through so you can hear the end of the story. I'm giving it 6 out of 10 Chikanskis.
The Witcher is one small step for RPG combat and one giant leap for shameless cleavage. If the main strength is the storyline, then why not just read the books? Unfortunately, there is no English translation, so The Witcher is your only ticket into the Sapkowski universe. Still, I think punters can have a bit of fun with it. I'm giving 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Good game.
In the electronic gaming system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important players. Player 1 who starts the game, Player 2 who enters it. These are their stories.
Exhibit A, Stefan de Kiersmarker. Age, 36. Job, Unix administrator. Interests, technology, aviation, music, food, beer. Lives, Melbourne, Australia. Exhibit B, Barbara St. Hilaire. Age, 71. Job, retired. Interests, travel. Oil paintings, reading, sculpture. Lives, Ohio, USA. Now you may be asking yourself, what do these two people have in common? Well, they can both fly a rufflecopter and own noobs. Stefan is the founder of TOG, which stands for The Older Gamer. It's an online community dedicated to older gamers who want to play games in a more relaxed way.
Being a bit older myself, I didn't really enjoy playing games with mainly teenagers online. There was a lot of juvenile language going on, a lot of abuse and those type of things. A lot of older gamers really just play for fun, and they don't play to win. I mean, it's nice to win, but winning, especially in online games, takes a lot of skill, and getting that skill takes a lot of commitment. Not everyone has that time. I mean, people at my age, they're married, they've got kids, they've got mortgages. I mean, there's all these type of things that, adults have to do that, kids or teenagers don't have to do.
We're not really a clan, we're just a community. So if somebody has something that's more pressing than the game that's on at the moment, everyone's really cool. You can just say, look, I've got to go, and then you're gone.
I make a lot of friends with TOG. The multiplayer aspect of it gives you time to chat and talk to each other online, and then meet at places like this at LANs or at barbecues and birthday parties.
I've never considered myself a gamer, but then when I thought about it, I've really been playing games since I was about 8. Because we have a young family, we usually play after they've gone to bed. We play most Friday nights, my husband and I, side by side, and we get the kids in bed and we settle down and have a few games for a few hours.
And if you're looking for a hardcore older gamer, look no further than old grandma hardcore Barbara St. Hilaire. At 71, she spends about 50 hours a week on various consoles and is known for her colourful language when deep in battle.
Stupid thing, get out of my way.
Barbara's grandson Timothy first brought her exploits to life on the blog Old Hardcore Grandma, and as a result in 2005, she was hired by MTV as their senior video game correspondent.
Damn it!
Bitch. Now, Grandma spends a decent amount of her pension check on new games, and it's easy to understand why. Gamers in this league probably have less to spend on entertainment, and video games can be an affordable alternative, especially if you rent or trade them. Stefan and Barbara certainly aren't alone. We've been playing video games for over 40 years now, so it's not surprising that the average Australian gamer is in their late 20s, over a third are parents, and almost 10% of all newcomers to gaming are senior citizens. Yet it's a market that's rarely talked about. There certainly aren't any games designed specifically for seniors. So what is it that attracts people, whatever their age may be, to playing video games?
Well, there's two reasons why. One, fun. I mean, everybody enjoys fun. Second reason is competition. Everybody likes to know that they're smart. Everybody likes to know that they've got something they can achieve. And that reinforcement of the game of, wow, I'm clever, is one of the reasons why we do it. Games keep you cognitively aware, which means basically you're testing your intelligence, you're testing problem-solving skills, language abilities, all sorts of things, and you have to do it at a certain speed. As for physical sides of things, we've found that game controllers can be very good for arthritic manipulations, and it actually eases the pain over time.
You can always say to your wife now, I'm just delaying the onset of dementia. Research has shown that if older people keep their minds active by, say, playing computer games, they are less likely to get dementia, or if they are genetically predisposed to getting dementia, it will delay the onset.
There's a corner next to it.
I think that there's probably a perception that games are for young people, and that if they're playing games, they're being childish. But of course they're not. Generally speaking, people play games that give them practice with their mouse skills. So A lot of older people have never sat before a computer before. You know, this is brand new to them. Probably a card game, you know, like Solitaire or Hearts.
This one.
Sometimes we would notice that people get here early for their courses, rush in, turn the computer on and immediately start to play games. But if you ask them, do you play a lot of computer games, they'd all say, oh, no.
And, then when you get rid of all of them, you say it comes up and says you've won.
I sometimes play golf online or chess online, but I don't, you know, play the so-called strategy games or war games, no. I don't have the patience, to be quite honest. They get a bit too complicated for me.
So you're familiar with the Wii? It's very popular with the older generation.
Well, yeah, it looks great. And if they got cricket on it, I'd probably buy one.
Go Grandma Hardcore. You know, Jung, I don't think I'd ever be at a stage in my life where I'd want to stop gaming, or grow out of it, so to speak.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting what the doc said. All humans need to have fun. And we all like a bit of competition and to feel smart.
We're keen to hear your thoughts. Are you a mature gamer? What do older people around you think of gaming? How do you think the industry will change as gamers age? Drop by the forums and leave us a post.
Good game.
Well, we all knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. Zelda the Phantom Hourglass has arrived on the DS.
The temples and such are the same, but it's a new experience the whole way through. Sporting about 20 hours of adventuring, veterans and newcomers alike will be impressed with the intelligent use of the DS's capabilities. It doesn't take long to realize this is no rehash.
In fact, it's based on one of the least popular of the Zelda series, Wind Waker on the GameCube. Cel-shaded graphics are much more at home here, and the control system has been ported over perfectly, whether it's using items or swordplay. There is a fairly uninteresting multiplayer mode as well, Jung, but it's good that it's there, and it's good you only need one copy of the game to play it.
Single player picks up where Wind Waker left off, and the entire game is quite similar. Temples are pretty linear, whereas outside is a water world with uncharted islands to explore and treasure to find.
A lot of inside and outside puzzles require you to scribble on the map.
A door that opens up to different areas according to what symbol you draw on it, blowing out candles by blowing in the mic, and closing the DS to imprint stone tablet information on your C chart. All this stuff just says to me, man, these guys are really thinking outside the box.
I know, and the way they used the top and the bottom screen together was interesting, John. You know, it's probably the most use of the DS functionality that we've seen in a game yet.
And I think they've tapped into something interesting here as well, by using symbolism instead of massive amounts of text. I mean, we've come across a few games recently that have way too much text. If you find a key with a picture of a sun on it, and 5 levels back you found a door with a picture of a sun on it, anyone instantly knows what to do, adult or kid, without needing 4 paragraphs of text.
Sometimes you feel like your hand is being held too much, and other times the puzzles just make you go, what? You're begging for a clue. However, it wouldn't really be a puzzle game if it wasn't like this. If it was anything less, it would just be too easy.
And I think a lot of games nowadays say they have puzzles when they don't really, like they'll give you the ability to kick a box, and then they'll present you with a chasm where you need the box on the other side, so you kick it across. But that's no puzzle, that's just using an ability.
Well, allow me to play devil's advocate, John. Isn't that just the same with Zelda puzzles, except Zeldas are much more complicated?
Well, in some cases, I guess it's like, where do you draw the line? And this is no Myst or anything, but all I'm saying is Zelda has real puzzles in it. And no matter how you look at it, the franchise is a puzzle pioneer. Final thoughts?
Often when a franchise makes a DS game, they're forced to bring it down to its core basic elements, with only a few things to set it apart. Zelda is more. They really thought about what they need to do to be creative and utilise the functionality of the DS, and they've succeeded. It's 9 out of 10 from me.
I want to make it clear to anyone who hasn't played a Zelda game before that the emphasis is on the adventuring and the puzzles, not the swordplay. Its massive playtime isn't due to leveling up or grinding. It's 100% quality from cover to cover. I'm giving it 9.5 rubber chickens out of 10.
The Guitar Hero franchise has been a runaway success with gamers, but what's interesting is that professional musos seem to enjoy it as well. It's a must backstage or in the back of the tour bus for many bands.
Guitar Hero 3 is coming our way next month with new songs, new guitars, and boss fights with real guitarists. One of those guitarists is Slash from Guns N' Roses. We caught up with the real-life Slash at E3 and asked him just how it feels to be a boss fight in a video game.
It's pretty fucking cool.
You've played a lot of Guitar Hero 2. One of the best things about the game is how it makes you feel good when you're playing it. Yeah. Does it mimic the feeling of being on stage playing a real guitar?
I think it's a different sense of accomplishment. You know, when you get the explosions and all that as you're going down the guitar neck in Guitar Hero, it's one kind of a feeling. Actually, playing guitar is a whole different kind of a thing because it's usually the interaction with an audience or whatnot. But it's pretty much as good a buzz.
Some of our viewers credit Guitar Hero with inspiring them to take up the real thing. What would you say to them?
I think if that, you know, anything that sort of helps get over the intimidation factor of picking up a real guitar and learning it, I think is a bonus. I mean, at least you're getting that right hand up and down technique going. Then that's killer. You know, more power to you.
How do you think this will go down amongst all your rock god peers?
I don't really care. I think this is so cool that if anybody has anything sort of judgmental to say about it, they're wrong.
Tell us about the theme song you've written for the game.
Just had to write a piece of music that was exciting enough for Guitar Hero 3 because there's such an electricity. When you first turn on the game, you've got this great guitar sounds going on and you just get really sort of amped up. So I wanted to do something that was going to raise the bar from Guitar Hero 2 and something that was going to fit the animation that comes on when you first turn the game on. So I just, you know, sort of toyed around with some ideas in my head, just thinking of different kind of riffs that might be good for it. And then the night before I was scheduled to go and record, I came up with this one idea when I was playing my guitar, and that's what we ended up using. So it came together cool. It's different for me. I've never done anything exactly like that.
Can you tell us how you came about to be in Guitar Hero 3?
Basically, just, you know, got this phone call from my manager, and I was really excited about the prospect because I just got in the game and just got really into it at that moment. What they had in mind was really almost exactly what I wanted to do. And the things that I wanted to do above and beyond that was like making it so that you could have the entire band play, you know, so that you could have a bass player and a drummer and a singer at the same time. One of the other ideas that we had was, you know, if I'm going to do this one, then it would be cool to sort of open the doors for some other great guitar players to do it. And then there was some mention of, you know, you doing sort of an instructional thing, you know, so that you could actually learn how to play guitar through Guitar Hero.
Do you think they'll follow through with the instructional idea?
They seem sort of, you know, interested in a couple of those ideas, so, I mean, you know, we'll see what happens, but their main focus was on Guitar Hero 3. So I'm just glad to be involved.
Time for a new MMO, John. Are you ready for some slow grinding, gold farming, subscription fees, and first day release mega patches?
I don't think I'm ever ready for that, Badger.
Well, good, because Fury is here, and except for the first day release mega patch, it's doing things a little differently.
Fury is a player versus player, massively multiplayer online game made by Orin Games in Brisbane. When the designers set out to make this game, they thought about all the things they didn't like about modern MMOs, which means there's no collecting of boar tusks and no protecting of hobbit pies. Fury is all about teamwork and ability combos.
There are 4 schools to choose from: life, death, growth, and decay. Each school has a melee and a ranged class. It's the abilities that you choose for your character that determine the school and your focus. It's a really interesting system, John. For example, the life school uses water and air abilities primarily, but that doesn't mean you can't have a fire ability as well. It just cancels out any charges that you've built up with the water ability.
The way you build up charges is kind of like a warrior's rage in World of Warcraft. As you build up more charges, your abilities do more damage, and some abilities consume the charges.
And it gets really interesting when you get to advanced charge manipulation. That's when you push charges onto other people or steal charges or completely swap someone's charges. For example, if you have, say, 10 fire charges built up and then someone swaps them on you and all you've got is water, it reduces your attack power, but it also means you've got all these useless charges to get rid of.
And if you find this happens a lot, you could always equip a single water ability before you go into the next fight, which means you could use all those water charges.
There's no leveling as such in Fury. Your rank is based on your skill level, so if you win a match, you go up in rank. If you lose a match, you go down.
Abilities and armor use up equip points. Everyone starts with the same amount of equip points at the start of the game to balance things out. As you unlock higher abilities, you can become a more efficient fighter by specializing either as a healer or a damage dealer or whatever, which is very helpful in team games.
The actual combat in Fury is a little daunting and off-putting at first. The sound is very repetitive and the characters don't really say that much. Being a heavy WoW PvP guy, Jung, I find that Fury doesn't really have the charm that I was looking for. Having said that though, Fury is a lot more customizable and you can also survive a battle of 5-on-1 if you're smart about it.
Aussies are at a disadvantage as well. Having no Australian servers for this game, you can expect a ping of about 260. And seeing as they're aiming for the competitive player versus player market, that's a big downer.
Yeah, it did make it just unplayable at times. On the upside, you can play Fury for free. You can also purchase gold and UAA packs, which stand for Unlock All Abilities. I don't know, Jung, does having all the abilities at the start make it, is it cheating?
I don't know. It's hard to say whether it's a good thing or not. I mean, it might be handy, but I think it might actually make it harder because the learning curve in this game is so steep.
The fact that you can change your character and the way they fight so much in Fury means you don't have that connection and character development that you see in other MMOs. You don't really feel like he's your guy.
Yeah, I found that too, Badge. I mean, the lack of connection makes you feel like you're not a part of the world or the universe, and that's what some people really dig about these MMOs.
Now, John, keeping in mind that we're at very first impressions here, final first impression thoughts?
Well, I think once you get to the more advanced stances and the higher builds, it becomes a much more interesting game. Competitive players will liken it to building a deck in Magic the Gathering, but with a lot more number crunching. We would really like to see this game succeed, and maybe we'll revisit this rating when they bring out servers in Australia, but for now, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, Jung, I really like the idea of Fury, the fact that they've taken out all these things that I hate about other MMOs. But at the end of the day, I didn't really enjoy my time with Fury, and I wanted gnomes and cows. I'm giving it 6 out of 10 Fury chickens.
Good game.
Okay, gamers, did you guess the game for this week? Here's Chris Priestley.
Working on a BioWare, I was really lucky. I got to join the company just in time to start working on Neverwinter Nights, the original.
Neverwinter Nights, produced by BioWare, is a role-playing game based on Dungeons & Dragons. It was released in 2002 and is still played today. It had the Aurora toolset, which players could use to edit their own single and multiplayer adventures.
Interestingly, Jung, The Witcher that we reviewed earlier in the show uses that very engine.
Coming up next week, Call of Duty 4. They've taken the focus away from World War II and switched it to modern combat with the weapons to match. But can the game match the same intensity and immersion of the previous Tours of Duty?
And as the federal election moves into hyperdrive, Lux takes a look at games that also carry a political message.
The silly season is approaching, and we take a look at all the party games coming out. What's worth spending a night in gaming with your mates?
Certainly 'tis the season for games, Jung. So many, in fact, that we can't fit them all in the show. So we prepared some special online web-exclusive content.
There's also an E3 special and some extended interviews with top developers. And every episode a good game that your hard drive can handle. We're keen to hear your thoughts on the show as well, so jump on the forums.
Till next week, gamers, Barjo out.
Junglist still in. Give it a couple more seconds. Yep, out.